The cry in the wreckage, the sky was dark and full of dust. Smoke rose from broken metal pieces spread across the empty battlefield. Burnt-out ships, twisted armor, and silent machines lay forgotten. No birds, no wind, only silence and shadows. Jack moved carefully between the wrecks. He was a human scavenger. Not a soldier, not a hero, just someone trying to survive by finding parts and selling them. His boots crunched over broken glass. His scanner beeped now and then, picking up tiny bits of energy. Nothing special so far. He had heard stories about this place. People said it was cursed, a failed alien experiment site. Nothing alive there, they always warned. Only ghosts and machines. Jack didn't believe in ghosts. He believed in profit. He stopped near what looked like a broken escape pod. The hatch was half open, metal melted like wax. He checked his scanner again. Low energy signal, almost dead, but there was something strange. Then he heard it. A soft sound, very soft, like a whisper. Or a cry. Jack froze. The sound came again, weak, shaky, and not human. It was the sound of someone in pain. Or afraid. He leaned closer to the pod. A low blue light flickered inside. Carefully, Jack pulled the hatch wider and stepped in. The pod was small and dark. It smelled of burned plastic and something else, something like blood. In the corner, huddled against the wall, was a girl. Not human. She had pale bluish skin. Her body was thin and bruised. Strange metal cuffs held her wrists and ankles. Her face was half covered by tangled hair. Her eyes, large, glowing softly, looked at Jack with fear and confusion. She tried to move but winced in pain. A small cry escaped her lips again. Jack's heart thumped hard. He wasn't used to this. He found dead things, old robots, forgotten tech. Not living, breathing aliens. He didn't move closer yet. She looked scared, like a trapped animal. "It's okay," he said softly, raising both hands to show he meant. "No harm, I'm not going to hurt you." She didn't understand the words, but maybe she felt his voice. Her glowing eyes blinked slowly. Jack stepped closer. The pod's control panel was dead, but he could see injection ports and scanners, medical equipment. Or maybe something worse. She had been locked here, trapped, maybe for days. He knelt beside her and touched the cuffs. They were tight, metal biting into her skin. She whimpered as his hand brushed them. "I'll get these off," he whispered. He pulled a small tool from his belt. It took time. The cuffs were alien tech, complex and strange, but Jack was good with machines. Bit by bit, the locks gave way. One by one, he removed the restraints. As the last cuff fell, the girl gasped and curled up, hugging her arms. Jack reached into his pack and took out a water pouch. He held it out to her. "Here, drink." She looked at it, then at him. Her hand shook as she reached for it. She sipped, then drank quickly, like someone who hadn't tasted water in days. "Easy," Jack said with a soft smile. She stopped drinking and looked at him again. This time, her eyes were softer. Still scared, but less cold. Jack glanced outside. The wreckage was quiet, but his instincts were screaming. This place wasn't safe. Not anymore. If someone had left her here, maybe they were coming back. He gently placed his arm around her shoulders. She flinched at first, but didn't pull away. She was too weak to walk. Jack lifted her carefully into his arms. She was so light. Bones and skin. "I've got you," he said. Jack moved quickly now. Back to his ship, hidden behind a crashed freighter. Each step felt heavy. He kept glancing at the sky. He reached the ship and placed her gently on the medical bed inside. The systems beeped, already scanning her vitals. Low oxygen. Broken ribs. Dehydration. Burns. She had been through hell. Jack looked down at her. She was watching him with wide eyes. She tried to say something, but the words were strange and broken. "Didn't understand. It's okay," he said. "You don't have to talk now." He sat beside her and watched as the ship's medbot started treatment. And then, a warning light blinked red on the screen. Signal detected. Multiple ships approaching. Unknown origin. Jack stared at it. Someone was coming. Maybe for her. Maybe for him. He looked at the alien girl. She was barely alive, and now he was part of whatever story she carried. He took a deep breath. No turning back now. Asterisk. The alien girl with no name. The ship's engines hummed softly as Jack flew away from the battlefield. His hands gripped the controls tight. He didn't know who had sent the ships, but he knew one thing: they were not coming to help. Behind him, in the medical bay, the alien girl lay still, her chest rising and falling slowly. She was alive but fragile, like thin glass that could break with a single breath. Jack checked the sensors again. No ships were following. For now, he set the autopilot toward a distant asteroid belt, a hiding place only smugglers knew about. Then he walked back to check on her. She looked better. Her color was returning, and the burns were healing. The medbots had wrapped her ribs and given her fluids. But her eyes were still closed. Jack pulled a chair beside her bed and sat down. He watched her sleep, feeling strange. He had never saved anyone before. He was just a scavenger. A nobody. Now, he had a scared alien girl on his ship, and enemies on his tail. "Who are you?" he whispered. She stirred. Slowly, her eyes opened, glowing soft blue. They blinked at the bright lights, then settled on Jack. "You're safe," he said gently. "I got you out of there." She didn't speak. Her mouth moved a little, but no words came. Her face looked confused, like she couldn't remember where she was. Jack picked up the water pouch again and held it to her lips. She drank, slower this time. Then she pointed to herself and said one word, quiet and rough. "Lie, Jack tilted his head. "Lia?" She shook her head, struggling. "Lie, Her voice cracked. Jack smiled softly. "Liari?" She blinked, then nodded, like she was thankful he finished it for her. "Okay, Liari," he said. "That's your name." Truth was, maybe it wasn't. Maybe she didn't even remember her real name. But now, she had one. And he had something to call her. Suddenly she tried to sit up. She winced, grabbing her side. Jack reached forward. "Easy, you're hurt. Don't move too much." But her eyes were wide now, afraid. She grabbed his wrist and pointed at the control screen in the corner. Jack followed her gaze. It was the communication console. She said a word in her language, repeated it, louder. Her hand trembled. Jack walked over and checked the console. A blinking alert: new transmission. Encrypted. Unknown source. He looked back at her. "You think it's them?" Liari nodded. Her face was pale again. Jack turned off the console and cut the external comms. "No one's going to find us," he said. "Not if I can help it." She relaxed a little. Jack came back to her side. "Who were they? The ones who locked you up?" She looked away. For a long moment, she said nothing. Then she raised her arm and pointed at the scars on it. Thin lines shaped like circuits. Jack frowned. "They experimented on you?" She nodded. Jack's jaw clenched. "Humans?" She paused, then slowly shook her head. Jack blinked. "Aliens." "Two?" Liari nodded again. She touched her chest and then made a breaking motion with her fingers. "They broke you," Jack said quietly. She looked at him, eyes shining with emotion. Not tears, just a deep, tired sadness. Jack took her hand gently. "You're not broken now," he said. Her fingers wrapped around his. The moment held, quiet and still, like the two of them existed outside the rest of the galaxy. Then Jack stood up. "I need to check the ship," he said. "You rest." As he turned, Liari made a small noise. He looked back. She reached out, touching his coat. Then she said, very softly, "Thank you." Jack's eyes widened. "You know English?" She pointed to her head, then to his. "Learning." She said, Slow, Jack smiled. You're doing fine. He left her to rest and returned to the cockpit. His mind was full of questions now. Who was she? Why did so many people want her? And why did he feel so protective of her already? He opened his nav map and began plotting a course. He couldn't stay in the asteroid belt forever. Someone would find them. He needed a place where no one asked questions. A place with medicine, supplies, and silence. An outlaw station came to mind. Old, falling apart, but hidden. No law. No trackers. It would be dangerous. But it was there. Best chance. Jack set the course. As the ship turned, he looked out the window at the stars. One tiny moment of peace in a galaxy full of fire. And in the back of his ship, an alien girl who had no name until today began to dream for the first time in years. The bounty on her head. Jack sat in the pilot's seat, his eyes locked on the small flickering screen. The ship was running quiet. No signals, no nearby ships, no noise except the hum of the engines. But something didn't feel right. He had been a scavenger long enough to trust his instincts. And right now, his gut was screaming. Trouble was close. Behind him, in the small medical room, Liari was finally sleeping again. Her breathing was better. She had even spoken a few more English words, slowly building a bridge between them. But Jack knew peace wouldn't last. He tapped the screen and opened the Galactic network carefully, using a private backdoor he once paid good credits for. If someone was searching for Liari, her name might be out there. He typed in a few details: species, age guess, physical features. Then he added one keyword: missing. The results loaded. His chest tightened. There it was, top of the list. A bounty. Target: female subject, gen code AL731, size status, escaped experimental, ASET, reward, 90,000 credits, dead or alive. Warning: extremely dangerous. Approach with caution. Jack leaned back, stunned. 90,000 credits? That was more than he could earn in 10 years. People would kill for that kind of money. He scrolled down. The image was a perfect match: her glowing eyes, soft skin, and faint markings on her temple. It was Liari. They had labeled her like a product, not a person. Just a number. Jack clenched his fists. Dead or alive, he whispered. Cowards. He didn't know who put the bounty up, humans or aliens, but it didn't matter. They all saw her the same way. A thing. A failed project. But Jack had seen something else. When she spoke her first human word, when she reached for his hand, when she smiled faintly. After drinking water. She wasn't dangerous. She was scared, hurt, alone. He turned off the screen and stood up. In the back, Liari was sitting now, wrapped in a blanket. She looked up at him as he entered. You okay? Jack asked. She nodded, but her eyes were sharp. She could feel something was wrong. Jack knelt beside her. They're looking for you, he said gently. They put a bounty on your head. She didn't react at first. Then she looked down, ashamed. Double quotes, no. Go, she said. They come. You run. Jack shook his head. I'm not leaving you. You die. Maybe, but I won't trade you for credits. Her eyes glistened. You good? She whispered. Jack gave a small smile. Don't spread it around. She giggled, just a little. The sound was soft, but warm, like a child remembering how to laugh. Then Jack stood. We're going to an old station. Not safe, but no one will ask questions. We can fix the ship, get supplies, and disappear. Disappear? Liari asked. Yeah. Go where they can't find us. She nodded slowly. Suddenly, the ship beeped. A sharp tone. Jack rushed back to the front. Incoming ship, medium class. No ID code. Jack's heart dropped. He turned on the rear cameras. A long black ship drifted into view. Sleek, armed, and fast. No markings. That meant one thing: a hunter, Hold on. Jack shouted. He punched the thrusters. The engines roared. The enemy ship followed, silent but steady. They had been found. Missiles locked. Alarms screamed. Jack pulled the ship into a tight spin, diving into a nearby asteroid field. Big rocks, small gaps, one wrong move, and they'd be space dust. But Jack was good at flying dirty, just a little more. He muttered. Behind him, Liari held on, her eyes wide with fear. But she didn't scream. She trusted him. The first missile hit a rock and exploded in bright fire. The second passed. Close but missed. Jack pushed deeper into the maze of stones. The hunter ship followed, but slower now. Then Liari leaned forward, placing her hand on the ship's panel. Her eyes glowed brighter. What are you? Suddenly, Jack's radar showed a strange field around them. Static, interference, noise. The enemy ship lost lock on. They were invisible. Jack looked at her in shock. You did that? Liari nodded. Weakly, short, time only. Jack didn't waste a second. He pushed the ship toward a dark hollow in a large asteroid. They entered and powered down. Silence. The hunter ship flew by, searching, scanning. Then vanished into space. They had escaped. For now. Jack turned to Liari. She was shaking, her skin pale again. You used too much energy, he said. You need rest. She smiled faintly. You safe? He sat beside her and gently placed a blanket around her shoulders. No, we are safe. She leaned against him, her body warm and light. Outside, the stars spun on, unaware. But inside a small ship in a quiet hollow, a human and an alien girl sat together, no longer strangers, no longer alone, and now they had a reason to fight. Back. Flight and fury. The asteroid hollow was cold and quiet. Jack sat in the pilot's seat, eyes locked on the dark screen. Every 10 seconds, he checked for movement. Still nothing. Beside him, Liari sat with her legs pulled up, her head resting. On her knees. Her breathing was slow, and her body shook slightly from using too much of her power. Jack had seen many strange things in space pirates. Creatures, ancient tech, but never a girl like her. She looked so young, so small. But the strength inside her was terrifying and beautiful. Jack tapped the console quietly. We can't stay here. Liari lifted her head, weak but alert. They come back, probably, next time with more ships. She closed her eyes. I'm sorry. Jack turned toward her. Why are you sorry? You, in danger, because of me. He walked over and knelt in front of her. Hey, listen, you didn't choose this. They hurt you. Locked you up. That wasn't your fault, and saving you was my choice. Liari blinked. Her eyes filled with a soft glow, and for a moment, she just stared at him, like she was trying to understand a language that wasn't made of words. Thank you, she whispered again. Jack nodded. Now we survive, together. He stood and set the ship to quiet launch mode. Engines low, lights off. Heat signatures hidden. They drifted out of the asteroid field like a ghost, silent in the void. Jack had one goal in mind, a shadow port on the far side of a broken moon. It wasn't safe, but it was hidden. No questions, no laws. No bounty hunters. Just trade, tech, and shadows. Hours passed. Finally, the station appeared. A metal web of towers and broken rings, held together by old gravity fields. Faint lights blinked like dying stars. The place looked abandoned, but at WUSN single quotes T. Jack docked quietly. He turned to Liari. You'll stay on the ship. Lock the doors. Don't open for anyone but me. She nodded but grabbed his arm gently. Be careful. Jack gave her a half smile. Always. He stepped out onto the landing deck, his coat tight around him. The air smelled like rust, smoke, and old oil. Creatures passed by: alien traders, cyber-modified thugs, droids with rusted limbs. No one looked twice at him. Jack found a traitor he trusted. A lizard-like alien with one eye and a sharp grin. I need parts, med supplies, and something to hide a signal core, Jack said. Expensive, the traitor hissed. Jack tossed a credit. Chip, that'll cover it. The traitor scanned it and nodded. Done. As Jack waited, he heard voices nearby, rough, fast, angry. Bounty's real high. Yeah, but she's dangerous. I heard she burned a whole lab down. She's just a girl, doesn't matter. Easy money if we catch her. Jack's blood ran cold. He turned slightly and saw 3 bounty hunters at the edge of the market, showing her photo on a small screen. He moved fast, grabbing his things and slipping into the shadows. But he wasn't fast enough. One of them saw him. Hey, that's the human with the scavenger ship. Jack ran. He pushed through crowds, turned corners, ducked behind stalls. Shouts followed. Footsteps behind him. Blasters fired bolts, zipped past his shoulder. He reached the docking bay and slapped the emergency open key. The ship's ramp dropped down, and Liari was already there, eyes glowing, standing tall, inside. Jack shouted. She saw the hunters, and raised her hand. A pulse of energy shot forward like a wave of lightning. The bounty hunters flew back, crashing into crates and walls. Jack grabbed Liari's hand and pulled her into the ship. Hang on! The engines roared as the ship lifted. One of the hunters fired a missile, but Liari raised her hand again. A flash of power surrounded the ship like a bubble. The missile hit the shield and exploded in sparks. They soared out into space, fast and wild. Jack flew hard, twisting, diving, burning through old thruster fuel to go faster than the hunters could follow. Behind them, the shadow port disappeared into black. In the cockpit, Jack let out a long breath. You okay? He asked. Liari nodded slowly. They won't stop. Jack looked at her, serious. Then we don't stop either. But where do we go? Jack thought for a moment. Then he said, I know one place. No laws, no rules. It's dangerous, but no one will find us. Liari sat down beside him. I trust you. Jack turned to her, surprised. Why? She smiled faintly. You see me. Not like a weapon, not like money, like person. Jack looked at her for a long moment. Then he turned back to the stars. They were running, hunted, outnumbered. But they weren't alone. Now, they had each other, and they were done being victims. They were ready to fight back. The station of secrets. Jack's ship drifted slowly toward a half-broken moon, where the shadows swallowed everything. In its orbit, hidden in the dark side, floated Station Threxus, an old, forgotten outpost not on any legal map. The structure looked like a dying beast. Cracked towers, broken antennae, and faded lights. But Jack had been here before. Years ago, when he was still smuggling. This place was dangerous, but nobody asked questions. And no one cared who you were. As he approached the docking bay, a robotic voice came through. State purpose. Jack replied calmly, refueling and repairs. The gate opened with a slow screech, and Jack landed the ship. He turned to Liari. She sat near the window, her face pale again. Her body was healing, but her mind was tired. Fear still lived behind her eyes. We need medical equipment, Jack said. Real stuff. I'll trade everything I've got if I have to. She looked at him. They find us here? Not likely. This place is off-grid. Only criminals and runaways come here. She stood up slowly and touched her ribs. I go with you. Jack shook his head. No, it's too dangerous. You're not ready. Liari frowned. If trouble come, I can help. He hesitated, then nodded. Okay, but stay close. Don't talk. Don't show your powers. They both stepped off the ship. Inside the station, the air was thick like smoke mixed with oil. The walls were covered in cables and graffiti. Creatures of all kinds filled the narrow hallways. No one smiled. Everyone looked tired, broken, or angry. Jack led Liari through the maze of tunnels to a secret vendor, a medic named Roka, half human, half cybernetic. She once saved Jack's life. Maybe she would help now. Roka stood behind a glass wall, working on some robotic limb. When she saw Jack, she raised one eyebrow. Well. Jack the ghost. I thought you were dead. He smiled. I've been trying, but I brought a patient. Roka looked at Liari and paused. Her face changed. Serious now. Inside. Quickly. They entered her lab, and the door sealed behind them. Roka looked at Liari closely. What is she? Jack replied, someone they broke. Liari stayed silent, watching Roka carefully. Roka scanned her with a strange device. Red lights flashed. Data scrolled fast. She's not just someone, Roka said. She's part synthetic. Half of her body is nanotech blended at the cellular level. Whoever made her was trying to create a living weapon. Jack looked at Liari, his chest heavy. She's not a weapon, not anymore. Roka continued. Scanning. Her internal systems are unstable. She's been injured badly. If we don't stabilize her core, she'll collapse within weeks. Liari didn't flinch. How fix? Roka tapped her chin. There's an old unit here, military-grade healing pod. Broken, but maybe fixable. I'll need energy cells, rare ones. Jack sighed. What kind? The class. Forbidden's tech. Jack ran a hand through his hair. Where do I find it? Roka smirked. There's a gang called the Rot Blades. They control the energy room on the lower decks. If anyone has Z-class cells, it's them. Do they trade? Only in blood. Jack turned to Liari. Stay with Roka. I'll get the cells. But Liari stepped forward. We go together. Jack saw something in her eyes, fear, yes, but also strength. She wasn't the same girl from the escape pod. She was changing. Becoming stronger. He nodded. All right. They took the lower lift. As it dropped, the station grew darker, colder. The walls dripped moisture. Pipes hissed. Shadows moved. They reached the lower deck. Red lights blinked like eyes in the dark. The Rot Blades were waiting. A tall alien with metal arms blocked the hallway. What you want, human? Jack stayed. Come. I want a Z-class energy cell. The alien laughed. Not for sale. I'll trade. What? Jack tossed his blaster to the floor. My last weapon, old Earth tech. The alien picked it up and aimed it. Nice, but not enough. Jack looked at Liari. She stepped forward and lifted her hand only slightly. A small spark of blue light glowed at her palm. The gang backed up, weapons drawn. I don't want fight, she said, slowly. The leader growled. You're the bounty girl. Before they could fire, Liari closed her fist and every light in. The room shut down. Total darkness. Blue light flashed fast and wild. When the lights returned, the gang lay unconscious. No blood, no killing, just silence. Jack stared at her. You didn't hurt them? She looked down. I don't want to be what they made me. He nodded, proud. You aren't. They took the energy cell and returned to Roka. Hours later, Liari lay inside the healing pod. The machine hummed as it worked. Her skin began to glow gently, color returning to her face. Jack sat beside her, holding her hand. She'll sleep for a while, Roka said. Jack nodded. She deserves rest, for the first time in her life. Outside, the station rumbled. Danger still lived in every corner, but for now. They had hope. Asterisk when she fought for him, Liari woke to a soft hum. Her body no longer hurt. Her chest didn't burn, and her head felt clear. The healing pod had worked. For the first time in her life, she didn't feel broken. She turned her head. Jack was asleep in the chair beside her, his hand still holding hers. His face looked tired. His clothes were dirty. But his grip was gentle, like he was afraid to let go even in sleep. She smiled softly. He had risked everything for her, not because she was Powerful. Not because of a bounty, but because he cared. She sat up slowly, unplugging herself from the pod. Her feet touched the floor. She was steady now, stronger. Roka entered the room, surprised. "You're awake already?" Liari nodded. "Feel better. Where Jack?" Roka pointed. "Hasn't left your side." Liari looked down at him. "Good human," Roka chuckled. "There aren't many of those." Suddenly, the station shook. Klaxons blared. Red lights flashed. Roka's smile vanished. "No. Not now." "What is it?" Liari asked. "Someone tracked your ship." "Big bounty team just docked. 5 armed soldiers. They're coming here." Liari's eyes widened. "Jack, wake him." Roka nodded and shook him. Jack opened his eyes, groggy. "What?" "They found us," Roka said. "You need to run." Jack stood alert. He grabbed Liari's hand. "Let's go back way." But Liari didn't move. She was staring at the door. Footsteps echoed in the hall. Jack reached for his emergency blaster. "We have to move." But Liari stepped forward. "No, I fight." Jack grabbed her arm. "No, you just healed." She turned to him. Her voice was calm but strong. "They chase me. Hurt me. Now they hurt you too. I won't run anymore. Liari, I won't let them take you." Before he could argue, the door exploded inward. The blast threw Jack to the floor. Smoke filled the room. Armed bounty hunters entered, shouting commands in alien tongues. They wore black armor, faces hidden by glowing helmets. One grabbed Jack by the collar and dragged him up. "Where is the girl?" The leader growled. Jack coughed. "She's gone." The leader laughed. "Liar." A blaster charged with a high-pitched whine, but then silence, and then light, blue. Energy filled the room like a wave. The bounty hunter's helmet shattered. He screamed and dropped Jack. Liari stepped through the smoke. She didn't look scared. Now she looked like a storm. Her eyes glowed like twin stars. Her hands pulsed with raw energy. The markings on her skin lit up with power that had been sleeping for too long. "You hurt him," she said quietly. The other soldiers raised their weapons. She moved faster than thought. A flick of her wrist, and one slammed into the wall. A step forward, and the floor cracked beneath her. They fired, but the blast stopped midair, frozen in a blue field. Then, with a twist of her hand, she turned their own weapons against them. The room filled with screams, sparks, and crashing metal. Then stillness. Smoke drifted. Armor pieces lay scattered. The bounty team defeated. Alive, but unconscious, Jack stood up slowly, eyes wide. You didn't kill them." Liari turned to him. "I don't want death. Just peace." Jack looked around at the damage. "You could have destroyed them." "I almost did," she said, her voice shaking. "But I thought of you, what you would do." Jack stepped closer. "You're stronger than me," she smiled. "No, I'm just learning what matters." Roka entered, stunned. "By the stars." "That was beautiful." Jack looked at Liari. "We can't stay, more will come." Liari nodded. "Where?" Jack thought for a moment. "There's a planet," he said. "Old Earth colony, abandoned, green forests, water, no cities. No war. I can repair the ship. We can live there." Liari touched his hand. "Together?" Jack met her eyes. "If you want, I do." She turned back to the bounty hunters. With a soft pulse of her hand, she erased the tracker data from their suits. "They won't remember where we went." Jack smiled. "Let's disappear." They left the room, walking through the broken station. No one stopped them. Everyone had seen what she did, and no one dared follow. Back at the ship, Jack fired the engines. As they lifted off, Liari stood beside him, her face calm, her heart steady. She had been a weapon. Now, she was something more. A protector, a fighter, and finally, free. A new home, a new beginning. The stars stretched wide in the dark sky as Jack's ship soared through quiet space. No alarms, no enemies, no signals. Just silence. For once, it felt like freedom. Liari stood beside Jack in the cockpit, her eyes calm. As she looked at the stars, her skin had healed, her body was stronger, and her voice was clearer. But more than that, something deep inside her had changed. She was no longer running. She was choosing where to go. Jack glanced at the nav screen. Almost there. Just a few more minutes. Liari tilted her head. What's it called again? Jack smiled. Eden 4. An old Earth colony, long forgotten. No cities, no trackers, just nature. Safe? He nodded. As safe as space gets. She closed her eyes and whispered, "Good." The ship entered orbit around a small green-blue planet. Clouds drifted across a peaceful sky. Forests stretched wide below, broken only by quiet lakes and old stone ruins. Nature had taken the planet back. Jack landed near a riverbank, beside a field of tall golden grass. The air outside was warm. The wind carried the soft scent of flowers and fresh water. They stepped out of the ship together. Liari took a deep breath, letting it fill her lungs. It smells alive, she said. Jack nodded. No machines. No noise, just the world. They explored slowly. Jack found fresh fruit trees and clean water from the river. Liari walked barefoot on the grass, eyes full of wonder. She reached out and touched a tree, then laughed softly. I never saw this before. Only metal. Only walls. Jack set up a small shelter near the river, simple but strong. Solar panels on the roof, fresh bedding inside. He built it from parts in the ship, piece by piece. Liari helped him, learning how to shape and fix things with her hands. As days passed, they made a home together. A fire pit, a rain catcher. Garden. Not just to survive, to live. One evening, as the orange sun dipped behind the trees, Liari sat by the fire, her eyes watching the flames. Jack sat beside her. What are you thinking? She was quiet for a moment, then said, They wanted me to be a weapon, but you gave me something else. What's that? A choice. Jack looked into the fire. I didn't save you because you had powers. I saved you because I saw you. Just you. She turned to him. And I saw you too. A kind human, a good one. Jack smiled. Guess we both got lucky. She reached out and held his hand. The stars came out above them. Soft, gentle light. That night, Liari had a dream, not of pain, not of metal tables or cold labs, but of trees, rivers, and Jack's hand in hers. Days turned into weeks. They taught each other stories, languages, memories. Jack told her about Earth, about music, food, rain, and laughter. Liari told him about her planet before the labs, before war took it. I used to sing, she said one morning. Sing now, Jack said. She was shy at first. But then her voice floated through the trees, light and smooth like wind. Jack listened. Amazed. You're full of surprises, he said. She laughed. I'm just learning how to be me. Then, one afternoon, a message beeped on Jack's hidden communicator, an old friend's private line. Jack, they're wiping the Bounty network. Someone powerful shut it all down, all data gone. Your name is clean again. Hers too. Whatever you did worked. Jack read it aloud. Liari's eyes widened. No more hunters? He shook his head. No. More running. They sat under the tall tree near their home, quiet for a long time. Then Liari whispered, I want a name. A real one. Jack blinked. You don't want Liari? She shook her head. Liari was the lab name. A number. I want to choose my name. Jack nodded. All right, what name? She thought carefully, then smiled. Mira, Mira, Jack repeated. It's beautiful. It means hope, she said softly. Jack looked at her, his eyes warm. Then it suits you. From that day, she was Mira. Not a weapon, not a bounty, not a test subject, just Mira, Their days became peaceful. They built more, grew more, laughed. More. The past faded like a bad dream. One night, as they lay under the stars, Mira turned to Jack. "Do you think people like us can really have peace?" Jack looked at her and said, "We already do." And as she rested her head on his shoulder, the stars above them shone a little brighter.